Okay, so for this chapter, it's about acquiring capital. And companies may need to acquire capital, which is basically cash, some money, to do different things. Either they want to grow, they want to develop. Sometimes it's because they have a shortfall. It could be something crazy like their building got hit by lightning and they've got to have somebody come out and repair it real quick. Who knows? Okay, but there's a couple different ways to do that. The first one we're going to look at is some short-term debt financing. Short-term being within a year. We're going to pay it back within a year, and we're going to get our cash quick. And it's usually smaller amounts, maybe several thousand versus hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, so every business needs cash to pay operating expenses. The payment of operating expense necessary to earn revenue is revenue expenditures, because you've got to have your building functional to be able to have revenue. You've got to have working kitchen equipment to earn revenue. And so those are expenditures that help you create revenue. Obtaining capital by borrowing money for a period of time is your debt financing. One way that we're going to look at or to do that is the line of credit. And this usually goes through a bank. You've kind of prearranged this line of credit so that you've kind of gone through the process of showing that you're worthy of them letting you borrow money. But maybe you don't need it all right now. You just want to be sure that you can have it if you need it very quickly. So you have a line of credit, and then when you do need it, you can go and say, all right, I need some of that right now. And they're like, fine. And they don't even have to go through all the paperwork and that kind of thing. Okay. And of course, interest rates are a part of that. That's how banks make their money, is by charging interest. The prime interest rate is the best interest rate out there. And so that's for your most creditworthy customers. And that's, usually it's prime plus something else. You can see here 2% over prime might be something that they have different scales for different kinds of borrowers. Okay, so basically what we're looking at is drawing from a line of credit. We've already gone through the process. The bank said you're good for up to, say, $50,000, I think is part of our example here. Okay. But we don't need the $50,000 immediately. And then we decided on this date, what are we on, November 14th, we need $15,800 of that $50,000 we've already been pre-approved for. Okay, so we're going to pull that out. Of course, we're pulling that from the bank saying, yeah, we'll give it to you, and we're getting cash, right? So we've got our cash debit, and then we're recording it as a line of credit. Okay, so cash is increasing, and this is a liability, so it increases with the debit. Okay. Another way is to extend a current accounts payable. So in this case, we owe Haas Incorporated. We bought something from them, and we were going to pay them back within 30 days, and something's come up and we're not going to be able to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk with the company. We're going to sign a promissory note, basically kind of an extension, but they're going to charge us some interest on that. Okay, and so we're going to be able to adjust basically from one liability to another liability. So this was just a 30-day, we'll pay in if a couple of weeks type scenario to I need 60 more days. Okay, so we're just really transferring this from one liability to another liability. Okay. All right, and then we'll go through the process of paying on the line of credit, paying on the notes payable for each of those different examples. Okay? All right, so now we're going to working together, 18.1. We've got a couple of transactions. We're on page 5. We've got a couple journals, 5 of cash receipts, 8 of cash payments, 4 of general. Okay. On March 3rd, we're drawing $6,500 of a line of credit. On March 26th, we're going to extend our accounts payable to 90 days with 10% interest. And then in June, we're going to pay on those. All right. Okay. So with our working together, our cash receipts journal was page number 5. Our cash payments was 8. And our general journal was 4. Okay. And just to make a note again, we're going to start with the line of credit. Okay, this is short-term, immediate cash. Okay. So on March 3rd, we don't really have to put March, but I'm just going to put it here so we can keep it clear where we are. We have a line of credit. It tells us this is going to be R146. Okay, we're receiving money, right? And this is a liability. So our liabilities increase with a credit. We're getting $6,500, and our cash increases with a debit of $6,500. Okay, so again, that line of credit was pre-established, and then we're just deciding we want some of that cash at this point. All right, then for March 26th, we're signing a 90-day note, 10% to MVT Supply to the extension of a accounts payable that we already have. So again, we're not taking in cash, we're not paying cash, we're just changing from one liability to another. So really that's going to go in the general journal, okay, because we're just kind of recording the change. I'm going to go ahead and put March here too so I can remember. And we need to decrease the accounts payable for MVP Supply and increase a notes payable. So we need to debit accounts payable MVT Supply. Okay, and we're decreasing that with a debit, and it's for $2,400. Okay, and then we're changing that into a notes payable, so it's still liability. We're increasing the liability by $2,400. Again, just changing the category, basically, that's in. And this is a double posting, right? We've got to keep track of that in both places. So we'll put that slash there. All right. Then on June 24th, we're going to pay for the March 26th note of $2,400 plus interest. So it was 90 days. So really, we've got March 26th to April 26th to May 26th to June 24th. So that's basically your 90 days. Okay, your 3 months. So this is the maturity value. Cash payments. We are on June 24th. Okay, and remember we had changed it here to a notes payable and we're paying it all off. So we're going to reduce the notes payable, right, by the $2,400. I just remembered I didn't get this in here, did I? This was just a memo. Okay, and then cash, oh, and then interest. So we have to pay the interest. This is expense. Okay, and we are increasing interest expense. Of course, expenses increase with the debit, but we need to figure out what that interest is. I don't think it tells us. No, so you got to figure it out. All right, so 2,400 times 10% times time. Okay, the principal times the interest times the time. Now the time, remember these interest rates are always in year or at least 360-day format. Okay, so our 90 days is what percent of our 360-day year. Okay, using that weird 360 instead of 365. A lot of different explanations as to why that may be. Some people say it's because there's bank holidays. Some people say because it was just make it easier to round it, made it even. Who knows? It's just kind of something that's become standard practice, is using a 360-day, which can increase your percentage rate if you don't watch out. Okay. All right, so you do that math and you get $60. Okay, so the interest on that 3-month loan is $60. So the total amount of cash that we're paying is $24.60. Okay, and that was check number 362. All right, and then June 30th. On June 30th, we are paying the monthly payment of our line of credit. And they're just giving that to us, $1,500, because we took out $6,500, but I guess it was already arranged that it's going to be a $1,500 payment. And the interest rate can change, it can fluctuate. So we're paying down our line of credit. Okay, with a debit of $1,500. Okay, so this is going down. And then we also have the interest expense. Of course, that's going up, but with a debit, and it tells us that's $64.20. Okay. So then the total amount of cash is $1,564.20. And that was check number 369. Okay. All right, so that's the numbers for the short-term financing. Yeah, right here. Short-term financing. We're also going to look at long-term and some other things as well.